Hey guys, welcome back to the studio for another episode of Guitar Fundamentals. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the harmonic minor scale and how we can make use of it to more effectively play over minor 2/5s and half diminished to dominant flat 9 changes in general. I'll take you through the chords that the scale creates voiced out in drop 3 and show you some ways that I like to approach playing the scale as single notes on the top and middle sets of strings. Once we've got that under our fingers, I'll show you guys how I approach playing the pivot arpeggios, similar to how we did it back in episode 3. Then, we'll learn how to apply some half-step rules to those arpeggios to get an idea of how we can start crafting some effective lines using the scale. And finally, I'll show you guys 3 licks that put all this together over a 2/5 in A minor. You guys ready? Let's get into it. When we're learning a new scale, or just trying to better internalize one that we already know, we should always learn the scale as chords to hear the harmonies that the scale creates. This is especially important for us as improvisers, since our primary concern is playing the harmony of a tune after all. Check out the chords that the harmonic minor scale creates with these drop 3 voicings. Obviously, this isn't the only way to play the scale out as chords, and these are just the root position forms of these harmonies. I would really encourage you to explore the other harmonic possibilities available here by doing these in their inversions, as well as trying out other drop style voicings like drop 2 and drop 4. You'll find some really interesting harmonic ideas by doing this. For now, let's move on and take a look at some of the ways I play the scale out as single notes. When I practice scales as single notes, I try to reflect the harmonies of the chords by practicing the scale through what are essentially the modes. But remember, I don't think of them as such, since any of these are going to work over any chord in the scale. How right they sound is ultimately depend on where we resolve to. Here's how I play the scale across the entire register on the top 3 strings of the guitar. Now check out my fingerings for playing the scale on the inner 3 strings, D through B. Of course, you should also explore doing this work on the lower 2 sets of 3 strings in order to get a complete picture of how the scale feels and functions on the entire register of the neck. These 2 sets of strings will give us enough to work with so we can play some pivot arpeggios and start crafting some nice lines that'll fit over minor key progressions. Let's check out what those look like up next. Now that you're getting familiar with the scale in both its harmonic and melodic forms, let's combine the two by playing through some pivot arpeggios. I'll take you through doing this in 4 different formats: ascending, octave displaced ascending, descending, and octave displaced descending. Next, let's combine these shapes with half-step rules so we can start to see how this stuff can actually get used to play over chord changes. One of my favorite exercises is to come up with a rule and then take it through the whole scale. For example, let's go through this whole scale by playing up a chord and then coming down the scale with 2 extra half steps so we can land with our resolution on beat 3 of the next bar. Here's what that sounds like. Well, there's so many more ways we can work with this kind of exercise in order to discover phrases and other melodic ideas. Try coming up with a rule of your own and then take it through all the steps of the scale. Or you can transcribe a lick from one of your favorite artists and see if you can fit that into a rule like this and work it through whatever scale it happens to fit in. For today's last item, let's take a look at how I chose to apply all the stuff I've taught you so far and play through 3 licks over a minor 2/5. My goal with these 3 phrases was to show you how we can use the harmonic minor scale to play over 2/5s in the minor key. All of these are rhythmically super simple in that they're just made up of continuous eighth notes. I also chose to get them all to resolve to the same place. That's the minor third of our tonic chord in this key. Check out those 3 licks now. Thanks so much for sticking around all the way to the end of the video. I hope you've been able to get an idea of how to more effectively play over minor 2/5 cadences, and maybe you've gotten some new ideas for how to practice through keys and tonalities in general. I remember when I was starting out, my ideas in the minor key always felt less confident than playing over major keys. What you probably noticed by now, though, is that a lot of tunes, even if they're not strictly in a minor key, they've got these half-diminished to dominant changes in them somewhere. So it's super important that we know how to get through that stuff effectively. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of this lesson. Also, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell for notifications. I've also got a Patreon page that you can go check out. There, you can get access to all the written material from these videos for as little as $10 a month. A special thanks goes out to my incredible patrons, PH, Josh, David Zuckerbrun, Petra Caron, David Nickel, and Jazz Luminaire patron Vabav Babadi. We also have 3 new members to the studio this week: Max Irwin, Everton Armstrong, and Jay Jarek. Thank you guys so much for your pledges, and welcome to the studio. Thank you to all of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.